We're back at the bed project. We're going to get these mini tubs put in. I watched one video is all I could find on these year trucks, and I think I found a square body video, but it's not terribly difficult to do. You could just cut out the inside of the wheel well, bolt it in, call it good. I've seen guys do that. They just take a hammer and just beat the living tar out of that spot we were talking about where these raised ribs kind of fold down so there's a flat spot to bolt the wheel well to. But I had a little different plan just to kind of do it nicer. I know nobody will ever see it, but I just would like it to fit right and be able to get some good undercoating under here. So I'll get you in and show you. I've made 2 of the cuts, and I thought I'll bring you guys along and show you what my plan is. So right here is this will be the back of the bed wheel well. And this is what we're focused on right now. Again, I don't know how well you can see all this, and you can never tell on whose TV or phone you're looking on, but this is the outline I've got that I want to cut. I've cut this one, and I've cut way back here, and I want to cut up to here so I can fold that down. So what I've got going on is this straight edge is on the tops of those ribs that come down. So that's going to be the top of our rib that's going to go down. The bottom of the rib is just behind this line. So I know about where my bend's going to be. What I wanted to do is cut way back here into the area that we're going to throw this away. So we cut way back into here. So when we hammer that down, it'll tend to go that way and it'll throw this line off. But with this design, it should pull this extra metal that way and we can make the perfect circle for, I don't know why. Because this is what I want to do. I know, it would have been fine the other way. So let's cut that, see how this goes. I need the glass. Safety first, right? How about safety third? Okay. I should caution you not to cut too deep. There is a support back here. That should do it. No, I gotta go a touch farther. At this point, we should be able to bend that down. But once you bend that metal down, it's going to be hard to get this end piece manipulated. So I would rather bend it up. Yeah, that tar gets hot and it gets sticky underneath there. So I'm going to just bend it up a little first. So I want to bend it up right there first. So if I can do that, I'll need to set something to kind of help me bend it. I'll put my weight on there. Well, some of it anyway. Bear with me if you can't see. I can't see much myself. All right. We're just going to bend it up a little. About that much. Now I'm thinking we can tap that down. So brace yourselves, watch your ears. I think I'm actually going to get a cold chisel, a dull one, to help me make a sharper corner. Something like this. All right, let's hammer this down a little bit. Probably move you guys over a touch. And I might use a regular hammer instead of that doggone body hammer. Not bad. Maybe not quite so sharp. I don't think that's too shabby. Now, the next issue we're going to have is because that metal is stretched up, I've got that slope about right. I want to fold these in. A lot of guys are folding them in and just welding them. There might be enough room. Let's go easy and see what we can do. Right, got another idea. It's getting hard to bend that because I'm coming way up into this flange. So we might as well cut this right here. Doesn't really matter. Just a relief cut. All right, let's try to hammer it some more. I think I need that. That's going to move till I weld it. But that line, the width of that cut is about right. They're buttoned up to each other. A little bit more right there to hit. I am pretty happy with that. Now let's get the other side. I don't want to relief cut that because that's going to be our final metal. You could weld it. It's outside neat. Well, we're going to cut that off, aren't we? Over here. That worked out great. And as far as my extra cut, you can see it's shortened a little bit, but I don't think it'd be enough for anybody to bother. When I do the rest of them, I probably won't do this long relief cut. It wasn't necessary. Sometimes when you bend metal, depending on how much there is, it will draw that way back. In this case, it was only a 32nd of an inch. We're pretty flat here. I want to manipulate a little more before I weld it. But just welding those up and doing a little body work on them, that's going to be very little metal work on that. Be no Bondo in here. And then we can finish cutting this out. I have to do the other end too. It's going along nice. That's going to work out really nice. I really like the slope is close. Nothing's perfect, but looks great. I've got to do the same thing back here, and I had drawn it out to do it that way, which is fine. I probably will do it the same. Just because I know it worked well. Why add more thinking to the whole project of possible problems? So I'll do the same way anyway. I liked it. It worked really well. Then I'll bring it back and we'll cut this out. All right, started cutting this out. Let's finish it up, see what we end up with here. I hope I have enough wheel. All right, cut it all loose. We have this support here in the middle, so we're gonna have to go deeper. Hopefully I can get through it. Got it. Awesome. That sticks out just a touch. I'll clean it up before we weld it up. Just because I cut underneath and didn't line them up perfect. But let's just see how things fit. Oops, sorry about that. Now I do have wheel well undercoated. Not the lips, but we'll talk about that later. Did I say later? Sure did. The reason I didn't undercoat right to the edge is because we're going to put these on and off, and that would create stick them. Yep, another darn word. It would stick them together. Stick them, both of them together. Anyway, let's see how this turned out. Right here is our area of concern. Let's get a little of that dust away. One of the tips I'll tell you this week about grinding dust, a lot of that, I don't know the percentage, but that grinding dust is partly the steel you remove when you're grinding on it. If you leave these steel particles on your floor and any moisture gets in the garage at all, it will put little rust dots all over the floor. Anyway, just thought I'd mention that. This looks really good. Pretty close to perfect. I don't know. I keep trying to use that word. Why do I keep trying to use that word? I think it's pretty close. Might be a touch longer. I've got a little more hammering to do on those corners before I weld it, but there's the fit for you. Here we're looking at the back of the truck. What I mean is like the rear end of it. And this one here is the same way. It might be a little too far that way if I was going to be picky. So I can hammer it down a little more on this edge. It looks like it's holding it up a touch too. So a little more hammering that together. Coincidentally, the width of that saw blade, the cutoff wheel, is exactly the amount of material you need to remove anyway. So once you hammer this together, they're almost tight, and you don't want them completely tight anyway. So that really works out great. I'm going to get these welded up and then do the other side. So I've been working a little bit this week, just stopping in the shop, doing a quick bit of work, keep moving around. Painting is one of them on-off things. But we got our grill painted up. Now I used a silver metallic wheel paint, and I usually do that because it's a little more durable than just regular rattle can paint. And I like that it has the aluminum fleck in it because right now it's as shiny as it's ever going to be. I don't want it to look like I'm copying chrome. It's a little shinier than I want, but that aluminum powder they put in the rattle can will oxidize really quick within the first year, and it'll dull this back a little bit to blend in with the truck better. But I thought it turned out great. Just a lot of this angle spraying. I didn't bother you guys with that. That's done. Over here's that project I told you I'll tell you about it when it's done. You know what? We're going to deal with some of that today. I know I got this fender back on the video real quick. I forgot somebody had put mud flap on this thing. So we had drilled, I don't know, I think there was 4 holes in it. So I just welded those holes up, ground it all down, cleaned it up, finished my undercoating. Looking good there. Here's a quick tip for you if you don't know. I'm doing a project right now, and I thought I'd bring you in for this particular part because I didn't know this for many years. When I learned this trick, I thought, what an awesome, easy way to do this. I've got 2 pieces of pipe I want to weld together. I'll explain all this later, but this is part of my grinder buffer sanding wheel project I've been working on for like 10 years. This is too short. I don't like it being this short. So I want to extend it that much. Now, this is just a scrap piece of metal I had here in the shop. It's super thick compared to this. I said it is thick. And I don't care. I'm going to put it at the bottom of the base. It'll add some weight to the base. Not a problem. If it was scrap, I wouldn't have went that heavy. But if you want to weld 2 pieces of pipe together, it's a problem because you can be off, I'm going to exaggerate, but you can be off this way, you can be off this way, and then worst of all, you can be off this way, making your pipe crooked. So there's so many variables to try and get this welded up. And the neat trick is just take a piece of angle iron, weld it to a couple pieces of scrap so so it stays there. You can hook your ground clamp to it, and there you go. Your jig is complete. You can put your pipes on here and they're going to line up perfectly. They're going to be in line straight. You're not going to have any of this going on. It's that simple. The best part I like about this jig is you can spot weld it. Of course, once it's spot welded, you can just turn it, put a couple, 2, 3 spot welds on it. At that point, you'll push the weld past the end of the angle iron, and this will still be connected. And that'll allow you to turn the piece with one hand while welding with the other. And you can get a nice weld all the way around. Just keep, it's a little tricky, I won't lie. The tricky part is you're turning with your left hand and welding with your right. And when you have to let go to re-grab, this hand has to keep going down. So you're kind of welding in one spot. And when your wrist runs out of rotation, you'll let off your hand and you'll start welding down the pipe while you re-grab the pipe and turn it some more. Trust me, this is the way to do it. Super easy. The alignment's perfect. Okay, I took the flap disc. I don't know if you ever seen one of them, you probably have. Flap disc is just a whole bunch of little pieces of sandpaper glued to this disc. It doesn't grind quite so harsh, so fast. I took a flap disc around the top and underneath so you didn't have any sharp edges, burrs, or anything to catch somebody down the road. Probably me. And then I did weld these up, kind of worked them a little bit. It looks like I got just a little more touch up to do on them, but let's do that later. For now, I want to dry fit this wheel tub and see what we got. And we have to mark the holes to drill it out so it can bolt on. Then this side will be ready for assembly, and I'll do the other side. Let's put our wheel well on there. Looks pretty good to me. Of course, you guys can't see in there, but I'm going to look. Oh, I wouldn't say it either way, but yeah, I like it. I'll tell you a little change I made when I like it a lot. When I was flap disking, I thought, I'll dig into it just a little bit because if it's shorter than the wheel tub, then dirt won't lay up on that ledge. If you happen to cut it a little bit too long and you think that doesn't matter, that'll give a spot for dirt to sit. Dirt holds water, water helps things rust. So I already did it. I just kind of took those back a little bit into that line so there's no lip out sticking out. You know what I mean? So let's mark these holes because we went in farther, there's no holes to mount it. These can be round because the square head goes through the top of the wheel well, not the box. So it's pretty simple. You can just mark them with a paint pen. I usually just go right in the middle, put a dot. On these, it's not so critical because you're going to drill the holes a little bit big because you got to allow room for that square carriage bolt head to sink down in there. Ooh, got my paint pen rolling. Let's see what we got. It's awkward picking these things up. Well, whatever. Let's just put it down and see what we got. Not too shabby. My dots got bigger as I went because I was pushing that paint pen. You don't need to let those dry. That's going to cover a lot, but I still want to fine tune those. So I'll grab my drill. I'll drill those out, and I'm going to go get started on the other side. Maybe we'll do a little high speed on that side. I don't know. We'll see. All right, gotta go. Okay, now on the, I don't know, what is it, driver's side? Anyway, the other side we hadn't done yet. We got it marked where my cut's going to be. I've already cut these, hammered it down, welded them in. I haven't finished up anything as far as, hitting them with a grinder and just getting them smoothed out a little bit. But my angle's real good here. It matches these other ones. This end's done as well. Needs some metal finish, both ends, but we're just cutting out this main piece right now. I'll get you set up for that. At least it wasn't the black glass, huh? That was a long time ago. All right. Get my flap disc out. Kind of get this touched up a little bit. Make sure there's no sharp edges for anybody. Square things off. Sand these down and kind of do a little metal finish on that. Drill my holes out and we'll be ready for assembly. I think everybody kind of gets the idea how to do these now. I didn't know. So this is a good video to kind of give you the idea how I did it, how I would suggest to do it, because it really did turn out nice. We'll see exactly how it turned out after we get them all bolted in and get the bed together, which is coming up soon. So come back and see me next week. I'll be working on I got myself pinned in. I'm either working on the bed project or the 1972 in Avalon Green. I want to get the air conditioning done. I know it's still February, but it's going to get hot quick. So that's all for this week. I got some other projects I want to show you. I hope you had a little bit of fun. I gotta go. See you next week.